John Jones. I represent both the union and I serve on the pension board as a trustee. About a year ago, we had a member who came forward and asked if we could improve our benefits. So Doug did the actuarial study. It came back. There were different prices. We had an option if the police took it, if the fire took it, if both of us took it, if nobody took it. So we went to a membership vote. Out of about the 80 members of the fire department, 61 did vote to improve the plan, 2 voted against. I know on the police side, they had close to 70 voted for no changes and only a couple that voted to change. The important thing I wanted to mention was that there was no cost to the city, and I'm sure Doug could say the same. It was slightly less by 30,000 or so. The members are fully aware this is a substantial increase in their deductions, but that was laid out very clearly on the ballot when they voted. So it stated your deductions would go from 5 to 12. Majority of the guys that are here, a lot of them couldn't be here. A lot of them are on shift, but from the young guys to the old guys, we had a majority that were supporting this. So if you have any questions of me or why we did this or anything else, I'm here to answer.
Thank you, John. Councilmember Rescue.
It always seems hard when you come up with these ones because we're talking about the people that protect our city, our firefighters in this case. So the questions I had are really based back to the city. It seems like I have more questions than answers, and I think you guys have your answers. There's questions out there like, okay, so an extra 5 years out, are we prepared for that? Is there a cost to the city? I would assume there's some kind of cost to the city, so I would like to see those numbers. There's training and uniforms and things like that. I don't think that's a huge number, but it's just really hard to come up with decisions like this based under some paperwork by Foster and Foster, and I get it. It's an actuary going out 30 years, but if you look at actuaries, not always do they line up. It's I call a wild ass sort of guess out there. So things could happen. I just want to make sure that we're whole here in the city. I really would like more information from the city. Everyone says, yes, we can afford it. It's no cost to the city. We hear that all the time. So I personally would like, it's hard for me to vote on this one. I would need some more information. I would ask the city manager maybe, or Mr. Sturgeon, or Manzares or something, I want to see it from the city side. I want to see what, I want confidence from our chief. I want confidence from our city manager.
Thank you. I'm going to echo a lot of Mr. Askew's sentiments. I want to support the police and fire, and I think we all do. Like, I want to understand it. Of course, when this comes up, I'm like, okay, in my mind, I think, well, police is right behind it. If we do this, then police is right behind it, and what effects does that have? I know it's a really, really hard time to be police or fire right now. I know it's a tough time. Like, my boyfriend's a police officer. I hear it from him every day. Just how tough it is, how he wouldn't have his kids become a police officer at this point. I just hear it all the time. So, in one way, I think it would be a great way to recruit people. But the same way Mr. Askew feels, I kind of feel like everyone took a neutral position internal to the city, and I just feel like we didn't get a lot of guidance and direction about, kind of these decisions. It's kind of like, here's the actuarial, really just kind of relied on the actuarial. And I asked him a million scenarios when we talked, like, what happened if this and what happened if that? And, how do we do this? I almost feel like this needs to be like a workshopped item or something where you can just really dig into and understand.
My position differs a little bit because to me it's the members' money and it's the members' retirement, and as long as it doesn't cost the city anymore, I'm fine with it. They're putting their own money into it. It technically costs us a little less, but I do think we will have a little bit extra cost for training. You amortize out that training instead of over 25 years, over 20 years. But this is also a great recruitment tool of it's a retirement that's a lot, you have a second career after your 20 years. Like my father-in-law, retired firefighter, had a second and now third career after firefighting, and lives a nice, happy life. And, you know, the life expectancy question in this, the life expectancy hopefully goes up because the issues of PTSD, you know, being in fires and smoke and all that for 20 years instead of 25 years, hopefully increases life expectancy, which I think is great for, you know, the firefighters. So I'm in support of it. To me, there was enough data because the actuarial goes through a whole bunch of calculations to give us that one summary sheet. It's not just, that's not the only thing they do. They look through everything. They look through the specifics of each individual employee as they're going through that. And to me, I'm fine with
Well,
it.
I had some of the same concerns. You know, I think it's certainly incredibly commendable and smart and wise of the firefighters voting to increase their contribution. It's just a smart investment. I mean, that'll pay off to you guys big time. And I know I've been told, because I keep asking the same question they're asking, well, what about 10 years from now? The last thing I want to happen is 20 years from now, the council is sitting here, I can't believe the decision those dummies made back in 2021. But I'm being told, again, I'm not an accountant, but I'm going by by what I'm being told here is that it's not going to cost us anymore, that it's a good decision. I certainly believe I think it'll cost us something, especially when you go to the 20-year deal. But I agree with Trace, Mr. Trace. I think that's a great recruitment tool, and we certainly need that for our future because it's getting harder and harder to get people in this. And so, in light of what I've been told at this point, I would support moving forward with this also at this point.
You know, the actuarial statements that come out are what determines what the city pays every year. So they are spot on because you pay for it every year. You know what I mean? So that right there is what you guys and what Wendy budgets is what the actuarial tells her you need to pay. So I think they're pretty accurate. Like you said, our plan did well over 20% this year. It's very strong. We're over 80% funded. As far as turnover, I looked at the seniority list. In the next 10 years, there's only 16 people that meet that 20-year mark. So 16 over 10 years, you're looking at 3 people every 2 years. To me, that's not a high turnaround. For promotions, we easily fill those seats. To go to engineer, it's 4, lieutenant, it's 7, chief is 8. So in 8 years, you're an assistant chief. Chief Irving, our deputy chief, has been here 14. So we do have mechanisms in place to refill those holes. So that the holes are never really holes. They're holes for about a month or 2. You know, just like when Joe left, we moved somebody up. And then when Chief Miller got promoted, we moved somebody up. So there's always a system in place to move people up. There are always people underneath who are prepared to move into that seat. So you're, like I said, you're talking if we're looking at 10 years from now, are we going to look back and go, oh man, a lot of people left? Well, in the next 10 years, there's only 16 people. And that's considering if they don't enter the drop. So if they do enter the drop, I'm one of those people. I plan on dropping, so you're taking more people out of that 16 over the next 10 years. So that's 16 people 10 years from now with 20 and they're gone. That's not likely the scenario. Most of the people drop for a little bit of time. So,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Based under some of the information I just got, and I restarted my phone, should have called you. I would make a motion to approve this based under some of the actuary numbers that I'm going to get with Bill and we're going to ask Foster and Foster to get.
I'll make a second. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Matheny?
I'm going to move it forward in the first reading and then get the further information as well. So yes.
Councilmember Askew?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Trace?
Aye.
Mayor Blackwell?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.